I have not. Well, I talk about food all the time. Not so much drinks, but when you hang out with so many people who love, whiskey in general, not just whiskey, but the whole category of alcohol that you have after a meal. So everything from cognacs and Sochi and all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah, it ranges from like understanding knowledge of tequila and the different types and everything on top of that, and your more dessert cocktails.
Oh yeah,
It goes across the board.
Yeah, and you hang out at really great bars, and the bartenders are absolutely stellar, and they teach you as you go. And plus, once you learn stuff, they love you even more, and they'll give you free drinks just because they're talking to you. They love you.
I have a interesting story. Have you ever heard of a neck and bind?
Neck and bind, no.
It is a cocktail that was invented at the early turn of, I want to say, the 1800s. And what ended up happening was it's this layered drink of like different types of liqueur, and then they take a raw egg and they drop the egg yolk into the drink after separating from the whites, and then make a froth with the whites and put a little bit of nutmeg on top. And are you familiar with the bartender Molly Wellman at all?
No.
She's considered one of the best in the United States, but
living.
She
living?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she owns a bar in Cincinnati, but yeah, the thing that she goes is like, are you okay with raw egg? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine with that. I'll drink just about anything. She goes, you have to stay. I need to make this for you. I never get to make it. And so she's making this cocktail, and it goes on, and everybody like starts gathering around because this is taking like 15 minutes to make.
Wow.
And she has to layer every individual section. There's like 5 different liqueurs in this.
Oh wait, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and then at the very end when she was putting the nutmeg on, she like somebody was talking to her, and then she accidentally like jerked forward and knocked the entire thing over.
What?
I have never been able to see like somebody's heart visibly break like I have in that moment. And then like she goes, you have to stay here. I go, okay. So I sat there for like 4 hours, and she was like giving me cocktails and whatnot. And then like it got into the night. She was so busy. She goes, you have to come back next week. And I did, and she made it. And it's a very fascinating drink to drink. But yeah, that's how I met her specifically.
Okay, that's awesome. The thing that I always do to gauge because you talked about the fizz, you talked about the foam
froth
from the froth. Yeah. What I do is when I test the quality of a bar, this is just in general, not specific bars, because there's certain bars that do certain things. I don't want to have them do different things if they don't know how to do them. But the standard thing is a gin fizz.
Yeah, of course.
And
that's classic.
Everyone knows that. And if the bartender sees that, I asked a bartender can make me a gin fizz. This was an amazing bartender. I haven't done a gin fizz in 2 years. I was like, are you serious? 2 years you haven't done a gin fizz? He's like, can I do a Ramon? No, I don't want a Ramon. Just give me a normal gin. I was like, okay, fine. He's so excited. I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, when they really get into their element and you find that bartender, like, they hear their ears perk up and all that, it's just like, oh, you found the right one.
And the funny thing was, I was talking to another bartender, and he was hearing the conversation. He's like, wait, did you say gin fizz? Okay, let me take this. I want to take that. And it was like, what?
Everybody gets excited.
Yeah, and it's just I do this once in a while just because I know cocktails, because I'm of like my work ethic was like I would work all day, don't do lunch, and then I would eat and drink, and that would be that. That'd be my day. And I would do that for years and years. So I get to know a lot of the bars, the bar scene, at least in Toronto, downtown. And you would, when a new bar opens up, like, okay, check it out, see how the cocktails are, see what the food menu's like, because it's a bar, so it's mostly bar oriented. And the guys there are young and crazy and just really into it, and that's when you know you've got a good place.
Oh yeah,
and it's a great experience. Anyway, we're veering off topic. Sorry about that. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to SmudTalk number 6, where we talk with me. I talk very well, honestly. Okay, and we're with Fairy Joker and Tanuki here. Hi guys, how's it going?
Oh, wonderful. Just having a good day. Got some fresh bread made, so my house smells completely like a bakery. I love it.
Oh, fantastic. All the carbs going. You got some beer going, I bet, just to balance out the liquid with the solid.
Oh, no. I have a good bourbon. I'm in bourbon country.
Oh, you're in Tennessee, bourbon. Sir. Oh, my.
Kentucky.
That is specific. Oh. Okay. That is where things...
I mean, We're one state north, but close by about 1,000 miles.
We were just talking about Woodford Reserve with Fairy Joker and his girlfriend there, and it's like, oh, Kentucky. He knows all about it, so fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
So that's one of my favorite bourbons. It's the right price, the right quality, the right smoothness. And what you have to understand about drinking, guys, everything is to your taste. It's all subjective. It's all takes time to appreciate. But the actual observations, you can make objective understand once you appreciate and understand it. So enjoyment.
It's like cooking. It's like writing.
And exactly. And this is why I think I would argue that learning to appreciate bourbon, which is an acquired taste, or any whiskey really, is more easier to understand like writing, because it's so diverse and so complex and there's so many genres and subgenres. It's probably a better, because it's just a liquid. We're just talking about a liquid. With writing, we're just talking about writing. With food, it's all kinds of things. That's why it's probably difficult for some people. But more people eat than they drink whiskey. So,
the Hemingway approach.
The Hemingway, yeah, you have to write while you drink. If not, just don't write. Then just drink. Yeah.
It's like, what is it? If a writer doesn't drink, don't trust him.
He had a lot of good lines like that. He's a bit too manly for my taste, but some of his books, I was like, I don't know. Who the Bell Tolls? Just, I think you were drinking more than you were writing there, sir. I think you put everyone to sleep with that book. Anyway, so what we have on the stream is these are two gentlemen. They have a few channels on YouTube, but talking about whiskey. This is like their hobby passion thing.
I should get in the watch together. That should be a thing I do right now.
You should jump on, yeah. And they're going to be showing 10 whiskeys to this 17-year-old. I don't think that's legal, but, America, whatever. And he's going to explain how this process works. Because when you first try a whiskey, you're going to be like, blah, this doesn't remind me of anything. I hate this. It's burning. It's hot. It's super strong. It's too complicated. Earthy. Some of the scotches are earthy or peaty. And you have to be careful with your taste buds and whatever.
Especially with a scotch for a first timer. They get that smoky taste.
Yeah, it's the same when I was a kid, and all you know is soda pop and whatever, and then you try beer for the first time.
Stuff and water.
Yeah, you try beer, you're like, I'm never going to like beer. And then you grow up to, 20, 21, you're like, beer is actually not bad. And then you drink more beer, like, oh, this is fantastic. And then you just keep drinking beer all your life. So, again, whiskey's not for everyone. Don't feel bad you don't like it. It's not, we're not judging you. Everyone has their own taste, but we do like to go over the notes and understanding of whiskey because there's so many major categories. Let me list I think there's 4 or 5 major ones I can think of off the top of my head. We have the biggest one, which is Scotch whiskey. We have Irish whiskey. We have Japanese. We have bourbon. There's rye, and then we have like the Canadian rye, and then like the American rye. I'm sure there's a few I'm missing, but those are the major categories, from most complex to least complex. So
yeah, and specific laws dictating what those things specifically are.
Especially in America. That's what I love about Americans. They are very good at patents and figuring out.
Oh yeah, I've talked to plenty of people about like bottle and bond and all that in that era.
Very important. Compared to Canada. Canada's like, it has to be at least 40% and has to taste.
It could be battery acid.
Yeah. Canada is just like, it's rye. It's from Canada. We grew it here. It's rye. It's like, what?
Yeah, and the funny thing is the laws don't specifically pertain just to whiskeys. Actually, Captain Morgan is not a spiced rum because they don't have that as a legal thing here. So I can't remember what it's called, but I've actually talked to some guys who actually do a craft distillery with rum that they specifically did. It's not categorized as rum, but something else, because rum has specific guidelines you have to follow, just like bourbon, just like tequila and whiskeys everywhere else. I
tend to think of like the Johnny Walker company, very similar to how I think of the entire category of the Japanese whiskeys, because the Japanese took Scotch, they took Irish whiskey, they took a few others and went, okay, we love all this, but we're going to do our own thing, and we're going to make our own version of that. So they blended all these things, they tested it out for years, and they finally came up to this.
Yeah, that's why when I heard you the other day talking about having Suntory Harmony or Hibiki Harmony.
Hibiki, yeah.
Oh, Good stuff.
It is. When I first tried it, I was impressed. Like it reminded me.
That is sublime. Whew.
Yeah, I mean, you sit there and you're like, this is Japanese. This is its own category. This is so good. But it reminded me of Johnny Walker, because Johnny Walker, people, I don't know if they're aware, it's a blended scotch, a blended whiskey. And they've blended it so many times and got the right combination, the right recipes. They have this, I mean, they've done dozens over the years, of course, but they have like maybe 5 or 6, which you're like, all right, yeah, those are the ones that everyone can remember when they try them the first time. And there's a reason why the blue is so expensive and why the green is so accepting and found everywhere, and why no one drinks red. Because
you use that to get rust off your bumper.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry?
It's okay to be wrong. I can't deal with red. Nah, no sir, not anymore.
Yeah, it's the same thing when you talk about grappa from various.
Yeah.
It's like it's fire water, but once you get past that's horrible. Once you get past that understanding, there's way better grappas, there's way better tequilas, there's way better everything. So
yeah, that's why I find it interesting when somebody says, "Oh, I can't do this because I had this one bad experience." Like, well, what? How much did you pay for that?
Yeah, exactly.
About $10. That's probably why.
$10. Wow, holy jeez. So, and that's the problem with drinking. It's expensive to get the good stuff. Well, anything good in life is going to be expensive, but that's the thing. You have to take it slow. Know a friend, know a family member. If they have a bottle of wine, they have a bottle of this. What makes it good? And ask them why, and then tell them.
I also like. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, tell them what you like and what you don't like, and they'll explain to you why it is the way it is. Because there's lots of drinks throughout every country, every heritage, that has like why is Sochi so strong? Why is amaretto so sweet? Why are all these liqueurs the way they are? And there's a story behind that. And once you learn that, you figure out why you appreciate it at a certain point in the meal, or with certain desserts, or buy with friends. And like Christmas market's a great example. Why do you mull your wine? Why do you have coffee porters or whatever? There's all sorts of wonderful historical reasons for why we have these drinks. So great heritage, great stuff. Yeah.
It really just, I always tell this to people. If you really want to find like some good stuff, go to like a tasting event somewhere. Look, Facebook, it's not good for a lot of stuff, but like keeping up with events that are going on in your town or in your area, great for that.
Exactly.
And I would look up stuff where it's like, oh, we're having this tasting event. We're doing this bourbon tasting or tequila tasting or beer tasting. And you go in there and you meet the guys who are like the representative of the company. And yeah, they're going to sweet talk you because they want you to be a customer. But then you really start talking about it. And when you learn a little bit, you can get them to open up more, and you can learn so much about it. It's amazing.
Most of the guys I met, like, yeah, I go to the Christmas markets where they have the sales pitch. But once you actually talk to the guys and you say, listen, I've been to Tennessee, I've been to the village, I know, was it bottle number 7 for Jack Daniels, I believe? That's perfect. Like that's all I need. I don't.
All the guys who show up for God, I can't remember the name of it. That one rare whiskey that everybody talks about, like every year for Thanksgiving we drink it. I can't remember for the life of me. That's gonna piss me off. Continue.
So once you get behind that facade and just talk to him as a person who loves the whiskey, because obviously he's selling it, then he'll be like, oh man, this is like my favorite batch. I think this one's better. And they give you like free stuff. They give you like souvenirs. It happens all the time. They're like selling themselves. They're selling their lives to you, and they just want you to go away as positive as possible. It's fantastic. So
I believe the best way to describe it would be when you speak passionately to somebody about something they're passionate about, they just instantly open up.
It's amazing. It's like with fandom. Yeah, you talk about something you're all excited about, and you give them the time of day, give them the opportunity to speak, and they'll give you the opportunity to speak. And you could be the craziest, loudest, and the most opposite of them in terms of personality, but you come together with something so obscure like an 8-year-old drink or whatever, however long it took to distill. And it's just an amazing experience. That's why you should never drink alone. Not to say you can't. I drink alone all the time, but because it's 2020. So
Oh yeah, it's hard to go out and drink with people when the world's on fire.
yeah, and alcohol does not add to it very well. It's not a good combination. So
No, it makes it way too easy.
yeah. So let's get through this video. I think this is a good video. I just watched a few minutes. I thought it was pretty cool. They had another one with pretty much the same list of whiskeys, and it was just them for 30 minutes. I thought that was a bit too long, and I'd rather be talking about it than just watching a video. So this would be
Pappy Van Winkle, that's the one.
Pappy. I always wanted to try that. That's like the number one most sought after bourbon.
You know what? I know some bars down, like probably not too far away, but like a 15-20 minute drive. Every year they have they open up a bottle and like everybody pays like a decent amount of money. They all get about a finger's worth.
Yeah, I thought you were meant like a whiskey, like a Johnny Walker or something. I have no idea.
No. It's just when people gather together for like a specific thing, and they're like, "Oh, it's Pappy Van Winkle," and they all get excited about it. You meet a lot of people that way.
Oh yeah. It's rare that we only have one a year in our convention center in Toronto for whiskey. I think it's whiskey and spirits, whiskey and spirit convention. Other ones are specific to like wine and beer, and those are fine. But it's the whiskey one that really, it's like wow, like that's just amazing.
Oh, Bobby, it's like before the world caught fire that I could find one of those like every other week.
Really?
Oh, like I said, you can find some very interesting events
in Tennessee. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, for sure.
Kentucky.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
But yeah. Anyway, yeah, we could rattle on about this, and I can go off topic plenty of times, but let's keep it on track a little bit.
Well, again, it's the same topic, but different context. These guys are a bit funny, so I don't know if they've been drinking, but they are a lot different. They're much more goofier in this video than they are in their normal YouTube channel, where they're a bit more serious. So, let's go.
You son of a... That was... Compose yourself, dude. If you're experiencing like a really heavy burn, then we need to slow roll this. Rex is investigating something.
All right, got the flutes. Look at those lovely glasses.
Oh, I got a couple of glasses
Whiskey
of that.
is one of these things that...
The funniest thing, my brother is a big whiskey guy, and he hates those glasses. He gave them all to me. And I was like,
Really?
Yeah, he is hardcore Japanese. He loves the square. The square and the circle.
That's where I'm thinking out of.
Yeah? Is that your thing?
Yeah. Well, no, I like the flute ones, but I'm over here at my girl's, and she just has the squares.
Yeah.
Which I like.
They're beautiful glasses. He has one he actually bought from Suntory, or sorry, not Suntory. They were showing off their Fuji brand, and they actually bought the glass where the bottom of the glass, if you look at it sideways, it's actually the peak of Mount Fuji.
Ooh, that's neat.
It's a beautiful glass. It's nothing fancy, but for what it is as a souvenir, it's perfect, and he loves using it. So why not?
I got a problem about buying glassware.
Oh, you buy too much?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, I always have an ouncer, a jigger, 2-ouncer, and then we have like the Polish glasses, which are like for weddings, like 3 ounces. So that's as far as it goes. Then we have like a few of the normal Scotch whiskey glasses, maybe the ones you put like a giant ice cube into. But other than that, one flute.
I mainly get into just a lot of lowball glasses.
Okay, I understand. I totally understand. Yeah, there's you're really into it. Okay.
It's just one of those dumb things.
I know, it's weird. Like, oh my God, I could drink out of that. I could drink out of that. I can drink. Yeah. How much are you drinking, buddy? It's too much.
Look at the etching in it. Oh, this design.
I know. It's like seeing the what is it? The Guinness, the official Guinness mug. You're like,
or even just like collecting china.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, where they have like the different patterns and the different printing. I just got some new. I inherited some new very fine china teacups. They're gorgeous. I love them to death.
There's a few restaurateurs I know downtown. One of them is one of the best fresh fish places I know, and they are obsessed. They can't stop buying dinnerware, like just ornate 50-year-old dinnerware from God knows what. They're all flowery and designs and beautiful stuff, but they already have boxes and boxes and boxes in the back, so they got to throw it out. Anyway, let's get back.
It's just more enjoyable with friends. Whenever you can experience
Exactly.
it with other people who are excited about it, they're interested in it. As often is the case, you don't necessarily have whiskey enthusiasts in your immediate circle right out of the gates.
So you gotta rectify that.
And in this video,
So this was done in February 2020. So this is all before the craze happened.
Oh no!
So it's this year. But yeah, what a change.
We're going to be using the list that the tribe created
Yes.
of whiskey for beginners.
yeah, the top 10 list, Magnificent Bastards voted on a couple of years ago, the best whiskeys for beginners. We're going to go through those and present them to a real-life whiskey beginner. What kind of whiskey experience?
Oh,
what kind
my.
of whiskey history? What have you tried to date so far? What have you had whiskey-wise?
I've had Jameson, I've had Bullet, I've had Jack Daniels.
So the big giant
Jim Beam.
classic.
Oh,
yeah,
Bubby.
yeah.
Okay. So
What did you think?
Yeah.
I feel like they all kind of just taste the same, to be honest with you. I mean, they all taste
Oh no.
that's for sure.
I think we just uncovered the issue here.
Yeah, I think we did.
So
I'm going to teach you some.
Okay, so there's a big faux pas if you guys don't know. There's a reason why things are made with single malt and one distiller. And once you make that single malt after, I don't know, 10, 12 years, it's perfect. You don't have to do anything to it. You don't have to add ice. You could add ice. Some people like ice. You don't add anything else. It's kind of like adding anything to wine. You don't.
I had a friend of mine. I have that I got from a family member a very, very like $200 bottle of whiskey for free as a Christmas gift.
Oh, nice.
Don't ask me how I became the beloved child in that family. And when I got my house open, she was helping me move, and it was just like a thank you. It's like, here, try this. She took one sip of it. She goes, I don't know. I think it'd be better if it was blended with cherry Coke. And I just died inside.
Yeah, a bartender, like when they serve you, if you ask for a single malt, they'll serve it to you. And if you say, "Can I get some ginger ale? Can I get some ice or water?" They'll be like, "Wait, do you want what exactly with that? You know, like whatever you want, like something to dilute it." You're like, "No, you don't do that." Like I would never do that. Like you could ask for it, and I'll argue with you, and I'll
They do
eventually
water on the side.
Yeah, I'll give you a glass of water, but I'm not gonna, because I've seen people, even at there's a famous restaurant in Toronto here, where you could buy the whiskey, which is cask strength, and they'll give you the water from the distiller to add to the whiskey to dilute it at your preference. I've seen that, so that's cool.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's fine.
right.
But saying mix it is just like, oh, that's top heresy.
It is pretty strong. That's why these are one of the many reasons why I'm a Puritan, not when it comes to food and drink, but also in writing, creativity. You want to separate your worlds. You don't want to combine too many things at once. It confuses things, especially when you're talking about poetry or you're talking about chapters or plots or overarching plots or trilogies or whatever. You want to simplify those storylines and clean them up as much as possible so there's nothing in the way. And you can really tell. This is why certain bourbons or certain things or scotches or blended scotches are used in cocktails, because they work perfectly. And that's why you buy
Like your blood and sand and things like that.
right. He wouldn't put single malt. He would never blend a single malt. That's just
Yeah.
he just wouldn't
No,
do
no,
it.
no.
Yeah. Anyway,
Basics of, and then we're going to work our ways through some of these
Right.
to figure out, one, can you tell the difference between these things?
Yeah.
And two, what direction do you prefer?
I suddenly got very concerned about how advanced the YouTube algorithm is.
Oh,
Because if it can read facial features, then it's going to see a whiskey channel introducing a 17-year-old lad to whiskey. Supposedly he's 24 years old.
Supposedly.
Rex, would you please bring over the Jameson, since Alex mentioned that was one of the things he's had before. What I want
I
you to
think
be
I
doing
think what
with
he means.
all of these
oh,
whiskeys on smelling and tasting.
sorry. I think that he means that he looks 17, but he actually is 24.
yeah, okay.
It's just dunking on the younger guy.
Yeah, I think they wouldn't do anything illegal, but if you guys have not had Jameson, that's pretty much the go-to scotch, I think.
Ugh.
It's very
I thought
popular.
Jameson was Irish whiskey.
It's an Irish whiskey, really? Oh, yeah, it is an Irish whiskey. I'm sorry, you're right. It is an Irish whiskey. Yeah. So Irish whiskeys are a lot different than normal scotches, but scotches are just so diverse that it's kind of hard to Oh, I was thinking of Macallan. Sorry, Macallan's the scotch.
Bit different.
Yeah, no, the names. I was like, what is that? Because I haven't had these drinks in like a year or two. I'm like, what the hell was it called? So, and there's like Macallan 12, Macallan Gold, Macallan 10. Like, okay. Plus, Macallan is a bit more expensive. So I was like, okay, it's probably a scotch. Anyway.
Yeah, Jameson was actually my first. It was bought for me for my 21st birthday, a bottle of it by a good friend.
Oh, yeah. That's a great gift. That's fantastic. Even if you don't like it, it could sit there for a few years and you could, I don't know, be making pulled pork or I don't know, whatever you do at lunchtime or dinner time. Hey, what's that bottle of that friend? Oh, I'll crack it and I'll try it. Oh, yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, it's always there. It's not going bad anytime soon. It's not like wine. It will last. It will lose some bourbons will lose their flavor or change their flavor for sure. Like,
absolutely.
Like Elijah Craig, which just scares me sometimes. As much as I appreciate bourbon, Elijah Craig is very dangerous in terms of alcohol.
Jameson's not bourbon though.
Yeah, I know, but we're still talking about whiskey or anything above 40 to 45%. I think Elijah's like 56 or something like that.
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
I usually buy all local stuff out of habit.
No, it's cheaper. It's easier. I understand.
Yeah.
Tasting, right? So, the quick primer. When you take a whiskey, smell is the majority of taste. Right. So when you smell
okay, so that's interesting because when I refer to taste and smell, I combine it with what's called flavor. So flavor is the smell, the taste, the palate. And it's the whole experience. It's not just one of them. So interesting.
Also, kind of mouthfeel.
Mouthfeel,
Borderline.
Yeah, I understand. Like that, you get flavor from gums in the throat and in the back of the palate as well. I understand that. I don't like mouthfeel just because I don't like the concept. Oh, well, this is something I have to swish or move around in my mouth to understand it better. It's like not really. The only thing that really happens at the point of saliva, so the saliva amylase starts dissolving whatever's in there, if it can dissolve it, is oxygen or oxygenation. So when people suck in air or they inhale while they have an open mouth or while they're tasting, that makes sense to me because that will do something. Swishing around, it'll just move it around your mouth, maybe. Some people enjoy that. I don't like holding it in my mouth for too long. I like to have the experiences and just swallow it and go, okay. And then think about it. But again,
I like to wait a little bit
subjective.
to get a real good taste for it, and then before I down it.
Take your time. Whatever it is, don't rush it. Exactly.
whiskey, you're going to take your glass and you want to bring it in until it feels sharp to the nose and then back it off just a little. That's the right place for you to smell whiskey. If you open your mouth and breathe in through your mouth and nose at the same time, you'll help the alcohol vapors bypass your sinus cavity.
All right, so while he's nosing this, make sure you are answering.
Bubby's had a few.
Dude, you son of a...
Next thing, when you take a sip of whiskey, don't just throw it down. And so there's a couple of ways to do this, but the first one I like to do is just...
I got a interesting story about the first time I was learning about drinking bourbon. It's I was there and I was brought in there, and this guy who was working at this liquor store, which is an amazing liquor store, but he hands me a shot glass, and without thinking, because my buddy brings me up here, he goes, "I'm going to show you how to drink whiskey and bourbon." I go, "Okay." So I get up there, he hands me a shot glass, I just down it without thinking about it because I'm an idiot. Newbie, 100% noob move there. And he took one look at me and goes, "If I ever see you do that again, I will never let you buy a single whiskey out of this store."
Oh, dear.
Oh, yeah. Etiquette is a very big thing with this type of thing.
take a sip and swallow.
Do you see?
And take about as much as you would drink if it was really hot coffee.
Do you see JJ Cheeker in chat? He's saying that he drinks his whiskey through a straw.
Really? That's...
I mean, it doesn't break anything, really. You still get the experience. I just think that's a bit odd.
Yeah, I've never seen that. It's a swizzle stick as far as I'm concerned. I've never seen a straw, unless it's a cocktail. But no, I've never seen that.
That is, that is so strange. I had to point it out. Sorry.
No, I'm.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
It could be a plastic straw. That could work. I mean, I'm not. If you cannot have the strength to put the glass to your. I totally understand, but at that point, your health, you might not be. You shouldn't be drinking whiskey. I don't know. Maybe that's another story.
Or maybe you should be in the final moments.
There we go.
If you're experiencing like a really heavy burn, then we need to slow roll this. Rex is investigating something.
Making sure he's doing it right.
Okay.
Swallowing correctly?
Yeah.
You did good.
Boy.
Hear the drummer get wicked.
Did you get high alcohol burn on that, or was it easy?
No, it was really easy.
Okay, good. So that means that's going to make everything else much easier. Now, when you're smelling these things and tasting them, what you want to ask yourself is, what does this remind me of?
There we go. There's the greatest bit of advice that we can give anyone analyzing something. What does it remind you of? Does it remind you of another experience? And with your tongue and your nose, these are going to be very sensitive feelings you're going to have and memories you're going to have. So you're going to have all kinds of weird ideas in your head. I remember some of the wine description. There's this wine wheel of flavor, and one of them is like shaggy dog. Not that you've ever tasted a wet shaggy dog before, maybe you have, but there's all kinds of weird things your brain goes to explain the flavors. And those aren't necessarily good flavors, but they're also not necessarily bad flavors either. So some people can drink whiskey and go, oh, this is horrible, or drink wine and go, oh, this is a few days away from vinegar or whatever. So you will get these experiences with drinks you've never had. I still don't like, there's one, out of all the drinks, all the things I say I like everything, but there's obviously a few I don't. And I love oranges. I love bitter oranges. We have Kinoto drinks and Amatos in Italy, all sorts of bitter flavors. I still don't like Grand Marnier. Now, that's when I was a kid. I tried it 10 years ago. Still didn't like it. I mean, it wasn't bad. I was like, oh yeah, this is Grand Marnier. I still didn't like it because I think of sweetness, I think of bitterness, and for whatever reason, that combination, it's a Canadian, I think it's Canadian, Grand Marnier. Maybe I'm wrong. It could be French Canadian. I don't remember. For whatever reason in my brain, it didn't click, and it always turned me off. And I'm big on oranges. I love Orangina. I love all kinds of orange products, and I can't explain why. So maybe I should revisit it. I don't know, but it's one of those things.
Everybody's got that one.
It's strange. I wish I could explain it why, and I can't, because there's Aperol, there's other liqueurs that are orange base, and I have no problems with it. Campari is extremely strong and bitter, and I still like that. So don't know. Yeah, I have to investigate that, but that's more of a me thing.
Sometimes things are irrational. Sometimes.
Yeah, so always having a point of reference where and why you feel and think a certain way is the basis of understanding what you're talking about, what you're criticizing, what you're experiencing. And that's how we begin our journey to comprehension of what our senses are showing us. Anyway.
Yeah,
like
I'm really liking this Woodford Reserve. It's got strong or subtle toffee notes.
Really? That's great, because when I think of bourbons, some people say they like their bourbons to be more rye base or have a harsher, stronger finish or what have you. Woodford is the smoothest bourbon I can think of, but there's also very little aftertaste. It's very smooth at the point where there's nothing to get harsh over, and that's purely subjective as to why you like your bourbon. Or, some people love, that's why Elijah Craig is scary to me, because it's like, whoa, that's intense. And plus the alcohol level, plus the harshness, and it's different. It's different for everyone, especially the Russians. I had a bunch of Russians friends. They would talk about vodka all the time, and they would say the best kinds of vodka are the smoothest, because vodka doesn't have flavor. It's just an experience. It's a sensation, how it dissolves on the tongue and the throat. And it's also that warm feeling you get. So if you get a harsh,
always like my
So
sorry
if you
for interrupting.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, even with me, I like ryes occasionally, but I'm not really a big fan of like that harsh burn. I like it to be like a slow, smooth burn, and like just nice, smooth, earthy taste, and just something you can just sip while you're waiting for the smoker to get done, watching the sun go down.
That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah, there's drinks that there's some tequilas I like about that. They have this chocolate tea, coffee, almost like a vinegar finish, and I was like, that's weird. And
I'll do you one better. I know a place that does a what is it? A peanut butter whiskey.
huh.
That sounds delicious.
It's on my list of things to try. Next time when things open up a bit more, I plan to go to a brewery that I know actually has some on hand that they'll give you a glass of.
They're cold.
I will let you know. I think Screwball.
Right on, right on.
The mix between like smoke and cinnamon is kind of what I'm.
Oh, interesting.
Kind of what I'm.
Okay, I'm gonna jump straight to another category, and we're gonna go straight into monkey shoulder.
Should I do a palate cleanser between
Yeah,
these?
let me get you a water.
Okay, I've never actually tried monkey shoulders. I don't know what it's like.
I don't think I've tried that either. But yeah, Screwball, SKREW ball whiskey from Lawrenceburg. Hell yeah.
How about
Yeah, no, yeah, the monkey shoulder. When I went to go pick up the Woodford Reserve, I looked at it, and it's a little bit cheaper than the Woodford Reserve, and quite popular in my area at least.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know all the American brands, but if you're talking bourbon, like, there's just so much. And
Just walls upon walls.
yeah. And they're all pretty much great. Like there's some ones that are obviously cheap in the white label or the standard, which obviously you don't spend. You spend the extra $5, okay? You don't get it, okay? You just avoid it.
There's a brand of whiskey I know they sell in a box, so it's boxed whiskey, and the outside of the box is literally just a gasoline can, like one of those old like tin gasoline cans with the handle on top.
Yeah. Like there's like what's the budget one we have in Toronto? It's called in the LCBO. It's called the Evan Williams, which
No,
I don't mind it, but I'm like I don't want it either. It's just sort of
If I have a choice,
yeah, no, don't have an Evan Williams, but go spend the extra $1, get the Old Forester or the Bullet or Wild
Buffalo
Turkey.
Trace even.
Well, anything you want to blend if you don't like it, like you can blend Evan Williams, but you'd rather not. Just don't even touch it.
I think I met a guy. He said that his favorite whiskey was Evan Williams, and he just did not like Woodford Reserve. That's it. I could not comprehend it, so I just let it go.
I wouldn't categorize Woodford. Well, obviously it is a whiskey, but I would say it's a bourbon specifically. So, yeah, no, it's always been my favorite so far, and I'm not an expert at bourbons, so it's just like it has the price point, it's got the smoothness, it's got just enough kick, and I'm
All
happy.
the things you like.
Yeah, it's such an acquire. This is why I love talking about whiskey, because everyone has their own. Well, I love Ardbeg, but I really can't stand this. It's like, oh, holy crap, really? You like turpentine? Like, oh wow, it's that sort of wonderful experience that we all appreciate.
I think I've always said that there's like 3 things that really bring people together, and that's food, music, and booze. And like everybody will find something to talk about within one of those 3 subjects somehow. Even if you don't like drinking, you can talk about why you don't like drinking in that, and it can expand from there. So they're great conversation starters.
Oh yeah.
Ardbeg, the where Johnny Walker Black gets the smokiness, or am I mistaken?
No, I don't think so. They do use the barrels from Isle of Islay, I believe, but I don't know which. I don't think it's Ardbeg. No, it's Kahlua. What the hell's that name of that? I can't remember the name.
Kahlua?
Not
Yeah.
not KAH. It's the other one.
Isla.
Cal Isla? I can't remember. It's 2 words. Yeah, that's where they get it. Anyway,
No idea.
don't worry about it. It's okay. I have obscure references I can't remember. Sorry.
It's fine.
Is coffee? Is that a palate cleanser?
It can be, but we're gonna stick.
This guy is
What
just.
did you do to this?
It can be.
Yeah, it can be.
Reset palate in between So do the same process. We're going to move a little more quickly, but each time I want you to smell it a little bit, think about what you're getting, then take your first sip and then smell it again. And what you're going to want to ask your brain is, how is this different?
How's it bloom?
I guess I'm having. I feel like I don't know. I don't have the knowledge of like the exact like flavors that go.
And that's why these glasses are fantastic. You could swirl them. You get all the focus up on the nose.
Oh yeah,
It's perfect. Yeah, my brother doesn't do it.
Stemless ones.
Oh really?
Yeah, they're really interesting. It's I got them from a brandy distillery, and they're just the exact same thing. They just don't really have a stem.
I have a wide
great for
base.
tasting.
It has a ball at the bottom.
It's a wide flat base.
Yeah, it has a ball.
It's like not a ball. It's just I'll fucking just send a picture of it.
Okay, because
Wait.
the reason why is they don't want to add water or ice, so you have to have the ball to move it around in case, I don't know, there's sediment or something. But yeah, it's strange to have this wide, like you're not going to have like 7 or 8 ounces of whatever. That's too much. So I don't know why it's so big. But I guess the ball allows it to see the viscosity a bit more. I'm not sure exactly why. Anyway.
Whiskey?
Now,
You won't. That's important.
That's important. And here's the thing. Whoever you're trying to get into whiskey, they very much need to understand that there's not a wrong way to taste or experience this.
There we go. There's another key point of the conversation. There is no wrong way to drink your whiskey. You can use a straw. You can shove it up your nose. I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah, there's a great documentary called Neat, where the final message is like, what's the right way to drink whiskey? However you want.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was saying I don't like swishing it around. You might love it that way. You might hold it in your mouth for 1 minute. I don't care. There's no wrong way to do it. That's why we hear all those people or the Patrick Willems, like, you're watching movies wrong or what. It's like, no, you're not. You're fine.
It's a mix of things.
Absolutely.
It's basically the reference points that a person would draw from whenever they're giving tasting notes. If they haven't had those experiences, they don't have any reference.
Exactly.
So it's going to be very hard for them to verbalize things the way that you, as a whiskey enthusiast, would be able to do just the very first sip, and
This
even
one's
on the
more
nose.
leathery.
Oh,
Yeah, for
interesting.
sure. Right on.
That's a pretty common, that even in wine, that's a very common. I have this leathery experience in the back of my throat or on the tongue. Leather is it's the I guess it's alcohol reacting on your taste buds, but it's a very, very well-known term. So it's kind of like I was talking about amaretto before. Everyone, when you try to explain it to someone, it's kind of like a bittery almond sweetness. But when you actually
a little bit nutty.
Yeah, like that's because there's so many nocinos in Italy. There's so many nutty liqueurs that's just like the most popular one or the most well-known. But when you actually taste it, this has more apricot and plum than it does almond. And you go through the range of amarettos. There's Di Sorono, which is the general flavor, has the widest range. Then you have like, what is that? Luxardo, which is sweeter and lighter. So there's ranges of amarettos, and you don't get the almond as much as you would than a fruit note. So
I just posted pictures of those glasses in the call chat.
oh, those look like normal. Those look like good glasses.
Boring.
Yeah.
The bitterness usually comes from tannins, kind of like coffee.
Tannic acid. Yeah. My base is like, imagine a bell, like the shape of a bell, but instead of it being convex, it's concave, so it turns like a ball, and there's a ball that runs around the bottom of it.
Oh, that's nice.
It's a really wide base. I don't know why you need such a wide base. Like, that's a lot to contain liquid, like a lot of area to contain liquid. Like, that's too much. So I don't know. Would I use that too often? But I like the flute better. Anyway.
So that's a little more of that malt musty note it could be, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit heavier, earthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's your space side malt must.
Right. And
Space
as
out.
you're doing this with your friend, they should feel like you're
Okay,
not
yeah.
the all-knowing whiskey guru.
No, you're
Right?
still
They
learning.
should feel like that you are doing this with them and
I
exploring.
wonder what that could be. It's important to know, Alex, you can't recall patterns you have.
Okay, so if you guys don't know what malt is, what that means is we're talking about scotch. It's malted barley, and that's the main ingredient is the barley. What happens is they allow the barley to grow. So I don't know how they do it, with water or hydroponics or whatever. And once it starts to germinate, once it starts to actually go through its cycle of reproduction or whatever, they burn it, they stop it, they kill the cells, and they use heat. And the heat you use and how you burn it determines part of the flavor. And that's why they talk about peat moss or charcoal, and that's the flavor it's going to be infused with. And then once they're done that, boom, there's only one malt they use that's called single malt, and that's for Scotch. Sometimes it's not barley. Sometimes they use other things like rye for rye whiskey, but that's how it works. And there's a lot of chemical process involved in that because we're talking about pyrolysis and oxidation of whatever those cells are. I don't even know. And that's where you get the specific kinds of flavor. That's where you get the peatiness from the Isle of Islay scotches. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, all you got to do if you own a car, get some turpentine and just smell that. That's the strongest I can imagine an oily, peaty smell is like. So imagine that distilled or diluted.
Haven't established. Right. So you can't recall whiskey patterns from thin air. What direction did you prefer?
I like Jameson more.
Okay, good.
Jameson more.
So let's
That's
move straight into.
Response.
Let's go a little bit classic bourbon. So hand that Buffalo Trace. It's right there in front of you. The difference with bourbon is immediately two big differences. One is
which one was that? I didn't hear it.
That was Buffalo Trace, which is actually the oldest distillery in America, if I'm not mistaken.
Even more than Four Roses?
No, Buffalo Trace.
Oh,
unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, Four Roses is like 1870 something. I can't remember, but it's they're so old. Who knows? When the
guess I'm looking that up because my curiosity demands it.
Yeah, no. See, I know we talk about Pappy Van Winkle, but that's like okay. If I have like hundreds of dollars, okay, I'll check it out. But Four Roses is my next one I want to try, and that's like
it ain't bad.
I know, but compared to Woodford, I mean, I want to see what it's like.
Which one? The entry levels or like the higher level one?
The higher level. I only get the two entry levels in LCBO, so I have to import the rose.
Oh man, it's so good to live in Kentucky.
You want some Canadian rye? We've got cases of it. No one's buying.
Yeah, I could use some stuff to burn in a lantern.
There you go. Perfectly acceptable reason. That's what we'd probably do if we ran out of fuel. No one's drinking it.
the grain involved. It's going to be corn. And a lot more, and corn dominant with some rye spice.
Okay, so the reason why he's calling it corn is because by law, it's corn mash. I think it's like 50 or 51%, which is necessary for being a bourbon. Plus, I think it's 80 proof or some other requirement. But corn mash is very specific. And when you mash corn and you ferment it, you get a very sweet, bitter flavor. So you have to know what that means, where the corn comes from, why they use it, why it's so intense, what barrels they use, and then you learn why Van Winkle is so good. Well, if you get the chance to try it.
Some malt barley, and then the biggest difference is going to be it's using a new charred oak barrel.
Yeah, so I think all bourbons use charred barrels. I think that's the recipe, right?
Oh, actually, I know this because I've had to listen to this about 1,000 times. Each barrel has to be a new white oak barrel or a new charred oak barrel.
Oh,
they can't reuse the barrel, otherwise it's not bourbon.
Right. No, that makes perfect sense because once you reuse the barrel, the flavor is not going to be the same. It's been reused. So yeah.
Yeah, and like the specific law is 51% corn. It has to be over 160 proof when barreling.
Right.
And I know there's like other grain requirements. I just can't think of them right now. But yeah, definitely you have to have a brand new charred oak barrels. And actually, a lot of barrels that are used for bourbon are sent out to like new craft distilleries or other places so they can age their own stuff in it so the barrels don't get wasted.
I was just about to say that they do that in Scotland for scotches. They do that for Ireland.
Yeah.
So it's a whole process of once you have the barrels, they're not just thrown out. Everyone reuses because they want notes, they want tasting flavors from other experiences. And it's Scotch or Irish or whatever the background is. So it's not just one and done or recycle it. No, it's sell it. other people want it. They want to wait.
Oh, dude. If you go to like the craft ones, like the smaller bourbon distilleries, you can actually get like the char, like wood sections off them. They'll give it to you for free at certain ones, or if you sweet talk them. You use that while you're smoking.
You just dunk it in your container, and just slap it to the side. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, just go, hey brother, when you plan to pitch that? It's like, well, I'm not gonna say it's on this date.
under the counter, it's everything. Yep. Okay.
Oh, the Kingfish Buffalo Trace is the oldest continuously operated distillery in America. Okay.
I got you. There's huge history with those.
Just countless, like over a century with some of them.
Like 4 generations of family members, just like, yep, this is all we do.
That documentary I mentioned before, Neat, it talked about how a grandfather, a father, and then the father's son actually all worked there, and they were talking about it. It's a very interesting documentary about bourbon. And I swear that I'm not getting sponsored by them or anything. I just really like that documentary.
Yeah, it's the same with vintners. I think vintners are a bit older because wine is a bit easier to make, but yeah, no, we're talking about generations of family. The Johnny Walker guys, definitely Jim Beam. I think Jim Beam's pretty popular as well. So
I'm just talking about the families that actually worked in the building, not the owners or anything like that. Just generations of people that have worked there.
Yeah.
Ireland, where the barrels are going to have already been used before, so the barrel impact is a little bit lower.
Right.
Bourbon is going to have a heavy barrel, woody impact, which is going to result in some flavors you might find presenting as dense vanillas, dense cherries, and it'll be much sweeter. I was
going to say, it actually smells quite a bit sweeter than these last two.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think an important point to make is we aren't drinking along with Alex because dry week, but having that experience. The same experience.
This guy's not drunk?
With your buddy, your family member.
I
One
am
of the more interesting
stunned,
things
actually.
that happens whenever you're tasting whiskey is you're trying to figure it out, trying to put a pin in what a specific note is. Then somebody else will say something, and immediately that's it.
Yeah.
It's like, how could I not have pinned down that I'm tasting cinnamon? Of course it's cinnamon.
No,
that
first
happens.
let me ask you,
That happens so often. Like vanilla is always like, what is that? Like sweet but like subtle ice cream. It's like, it's vanilla. Oh yeah, you're right. It's like
Oh, dude, if you do like blind tests for a lot of porters, they always sneak vanilla in there. And you're just like, this one's good. I just don't know why. It's like, oh, vanilla. That's it.
Yeah. It's the same with baking. When you actually start baking with, I don't know, making cookies, something small and simple, where you have a lot of sugar, you're like, I don't want to use, this is too sweet. What am I going to use? Like cinnamon, this or that. It's like, use vanilla. And you will notice the sweet profile is just as intense if you had just a little bit of sugar. But if you eliminate that sugar and just use like a few drops of vanilla in your batter.
Also, sparingly.
Oh, yeah. No, this isn't, like, we're talking about concentrated liquid vanilla. Like, that's pretty strong.
Yeah. Like, I know some people who just don't understand, like, certain concepts of cooking. It's like, okay, now you only use a couple drops of vanilla. It's like, that doesn't sound like it's going to work. I'm going to put, like, 3 tablespoons. It's like, no!
It's a waste, yeah. After a certain point, there's going to be no difference between 3 drops and 3 spoons. It's like, don't do it. Just don't.
Now you just have, like, intense, mildly sweet. Congratulations.
Yeah.
what did you get on that one?
I don't want to just say like flavor, but
More robust.
definitely darker than the last two.
Yeah, so that's
And
your wood impact.
more like explosive, I would say.
Like
Yes.
more dense,
Yeah.
more saturation to
So
the.
no-
See, oak, even my dad, who's like been drinking wine all his life, he hates oak. But there are some wines that have oak in them, and he loves it. So it's a straight, like, I hate oak. I don't like these rich, robust wines. Like, okay, fine. But there's like this white wine that has oak. It's like, Dad, this is pure oak. It's like, I know, it's great. It's like, what? You hate oak? It's like, I know. Why?
Yeah, I'm that way with a lot of reds, where it's just like, this is like too earthy, and I try bourbon, it's like, I'm in heaven.
Yeah, it happens. I don't know why. I had that with tequila, because tequila is so, like, in terms of complexity, I think tequila is probably one of the more complex types of alcohols I've ever had. And that's only because I've had like the generic, like I think like Patron or whatever, which isn't bad. Patron's fine. But when you get the really nice bottles, like Oh,
and it just
geez.
has that like smooth, like mellow sweetness to it in a way. And
It's when I first tried bourbon, I was like, what is that? But this was like, imagine like a coffee porter beer experience with chocolate and like a cognac finish. I was just like, what is that? That I could not describe it. So that's why you travel. That's why you go on wine tours and beer tours or whatever. And just
this is why there's a bus in Kentucky that you can take to go to all the big name distilleries.
Yes.
This is why you pay that.
This is
for,
why if you
it's
want
like an overnight trip.
if you want to take a trip to New Orleans, you don't just go to New Orleans. You take a bus, you go through the entire state, and your second last stop is New Orleans. And then you go
Because you're going to be like walked to the airport, like dragged there on a stretcher after that night.
Well, I think it was I was about to plan a trip, but my friend got busy, whatever. And this is a 5-stop trip with a bus, and the second last stop is New Orleans. I was like, why is the second? We want to go there. Why is the second last stop? It's like, well, you got to try the other places first, and once you get to New Orleans, you'll know why it's New Orleans. You're like, oh, okay, fine. And I was trying to understand that, and my buddy's like, well, okay, there's like parades, and then there's like Mardi Gras, which we're not going. Then don't even think about it. There's all the tours, the historical tours.
I actually have a friend who almost died at Mardi Gras.
It is, you got to be careful. Yeah.
Yeah. Mainly because he almost got crushed by the crowd.
Oh, you went during Mardi Gras. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But you could just hang out at a bar all day and it'd be like the best experience you've ever had at a bar in your life. You're like, why?
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, Bourbon Street is called that because the French was importing bourbon from Kentucky to replace brandy because it would be less expensive. And that's why bourbon became a huge thing in Kentucky. Is due to the French. If I'm not mistaken.
There are some classic bars. There's some classic cocktails. There's some classic music, and the parades and the art and just the summertime. It's such a, like, you have to take your time. You can't just go there for a day. You have to take a few days at least. So, anyway, it's a dream. We'll get there.
Noticed that in the first two, I didn't give him any tasting notes, but in this third one, I actually suggested some flavors.
Yeah.
What I was trying to do in that, and I do this regularly, is I try to give someone the reward feeling of recognizing something that's actually there, so they're not going totally blind every single time.
Yeah, it's the difference, between trying to create out of the vacuum, right? Just pulling from the ether of your own experience.
Trying to recognize.
Yeah, or versus somebody saying, "Are you actually experiencing something that is akin to vanilla?" Holy crap, I am.
Let's
that's exactly the whole thing that we were just talking about, where it's just like you experience the individual nodes of like flavor in each one. And really, I think this is a very good way to go about it because it really causes the person to try to come up with these things within their own mind instead of just going like, hey, so do you taste that one? Then like you're going to kind of compromise the tasting that way.
Yeah,
I gotta kind of. I've noticed that me doing a little bit of exploring on my own before I look at the tasting notes, I come up with different answers. But the tasting notes definitely help me find the deeper flavors, the more subtle things.
I think we should probably, I don't know if you guys do this, but if you want to try, if you're getting into Scotch, don't just get Scotch. Get the Irish whiskeys, try the American whiskeys, try the Canadian. Just get a range. So when you try a Scotch, because Scotches are so complex and so robust that you have to appreciate the other standard whiskeys before you take the leap to, well, if you're even going to want to go near the Isle of Islay or was it the Highlands? I can't remember their specific brand.
Oh, what day.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different, like there's a whole range of in between that. So you gotta get your vocabulary figured out first. Get your repertoire at least a bit wet. Go, okay.
It's like you don't start like racing cars.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is my first time racing a car. Oh, you're in the Indy 500. It's like, okay, you don't do that.
No, sir. Let's start you with a tricycle, and then we'll build up your experiences. Yeah, exactly.
The Bourbon House is actually why bourbon has its name.
Right.
Yeah, Kingfish was mentioning Bourbon Street is named after the French royal family. I'm mentioning the bourbon became big down there because it was a replacement for brandy. That's the reason I mentioned it.
It's
yeah, continue.
It's a very diverse history. New Orleans. It's very, very, very cultured down there. So
Just alcohol in general, just very complex history throughout all of it. Very fascinating to look through.
Right? The dominant grain is going to be rye, and think of it just like rye bread. Right? It's going to be more spicy, more herbal, kind of almost tea direction potentially.
that's a great thing with food. Now that you think of rye, I immediately jump to German cuisine. And if you ever go to,
Oh, I was thinking of Reuben.
yeah, Reuben, like a sandwich.
Oh yeah, I'll fuck up a Reuben.
Oh, okay. Because when I think of rye, because if you ever go to a German, it's either going to be a German bar or what do they call that? A beer hall, long tables. They will hand you slices of rye and butter with your beer.
Yeah.
I don't know why they do that, but that's what I guess is a given.
If I'm not mistaken, the bread helps with the soaking up of the alcohol, and then like you drink your beer, so it's like you can drink longer, or at least be able to handle things better the next day.
Yeah, the typical beers I would have would be like Oktoberfest beers, like a Hacker Gold, or a Warsteiner. Like those are very bitter, sparkling. Well, Warsteiner is a very bitter, sparkling beer. So I was like, okay, this is like I guess like an Italian restaurant. They would just hand you bread anyway, but it's rye bread in Germany. It's like, all right, cool.
I mean, that's their dig.
Yeah.
Some people, when it comes to rye, it's not necessarily this one. It's kind of a lighter rye, but they'll use words like black licorice and anise.
On this one, tends to be more like eucalyptus.
Yeah. I was gonna say
Really?
mint.
Yeah, eucalyptus
Is that
and mint.
bullet?
Was the second
Yeah,
thing I was
that's
about to
bullet,
say.
for
That's
sure.
A
That's
pretty
bullet
standard
rye. Bottle, yeah.
recipe flavor profile. Eucalyptus
This
and
one
mint.
burns the
You know the
most.
funniest thing? I've bought Bullet once before. I never cracked it. I never tried it. Like by itself. Like I was at it's a funny story because I was working, and what I do is like the guys at work would like to drink, and I was so busy because they would take breaks, right before work ended, and they would just help themselves. But yeah, no problem. But this was like a week. Like, so after 5 days, like, you know what? I haven't had that bottle yet. And it's like, oh, we got rid of that like the second day or something. Like, what are you talking about? That was a full bottle. So I haven't had it I haven't had it neat. I've only had it in cocktails. So
Bullet is a solid okay.
it is the go-to for cocktails, I think. I think that's like the mix.
Yeah. Or I think it's Lawrence.
Well, Maker's Mark is in Canada. We have a lot of that, so we blend that a lot. But I would say Bullet's more. I prefer it over Maker's Mark.
Yeah, fair.
What is it? Johnny Walker Red is a really popular cocktail base as well.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could ever imagine mixing in a cocktail, because you don't drink that shit straight.
No one will tell you the bartender will not tell you. Oh yeah, no, it's Johnny Walker Black. Like they're not going to say that. They're just saying, oh, it's Johnny Walker. Yeah. They don't tell the cocktail list what the ingredients are. It's like it's Johnny Walker, because no one's going to put like green or blue in a cocktail.
No,
It's like,
if you mixed green or blue in a cocktail, then like you'd probably get shot out of there as a bartender.
are you like lighting your cigars with like $100 bills or something? Like, what are you doing?
What the fuck is going on, man?
Who's this guy?
What is this, Animal Farm?
Let's move quickly. For the first time, we're going to introduce you to a little bit of smoke, but we're not going to do it with an Isla. We're going to do it with a mildly peated Highland malt.
I gotta fix this, you know.
So this is Glenfiddich 12.
All right, Glenfiddich. This is not. I mean, it is slightly peaty. I didn't think it was that intense for peatness, but
Well, is that like the normal bottle, or is that a special blend?
oh yeah, I have no idea. He said it was a 12-year-old, but even then, Glenfiddich is like a pretty much a safe Scotch. I wouldn't even consider it that peaty. Okay,
I
I've
think
tried.
he's talking about in relation to this list, not overall.
Yeah,
Based off of their 10 introductory whiskeys.
yeah. There are Scotches which will floor you. So with peatness. So yeah.
Oh yeah, it hits you like a friggin' hammer.
This is a Highland malt. But it does have a little bit of peat smoke in it, which you may interpret either as smoke or your brain may interpret it as black pepper.
I want to hear what Alex has to say in terms of how is this comparing
Yeah.
to any of the other whiskeys so far.
See, if we had like a pairing like this would be like the best part of the day. Like I would be so happy for like 3-4 hours after. It's like, this is like amazing. Like what he's doing right now, having tried all these things in order, like your mind is just blowing up. You're like, oh my God, what's in my mouth? What is this? And you're having a great time with these two guys who are experts. Like to me, this is like you would pay money to do this with these two guys or whatever as a vacation thing, or like you'd buy tickets for this. For me, this would be a great time. So for a guy who's never, for a guy who's never done this, like a 24-year-old, he's like, I don't know, scotch. Like, whoa, what am I doing? It's fun. To me, that'd be fun.
Oh, introducing people to it is just it's so much fun.
Yeah, I love going out and getting like a flight, it's like a gin bar, like a flight of gin or
I know an excellent bourbon bar where like everything's bourbon.
Oh, jeez.
It's amazing. Like they have like walls upon walls. They have a shelf that goes across like from wall to wall over the bar. That's just all bourbon. It's amazing.
There's a place called Smokin' Bones in Toronto. I haven't gone to in about a year. It is a smokehouse, but they do whiskey and bourbon. And
Smoky Bones?
Smokin' Bones, yeah.
Yeah, I think we got one of those here.
It could be a franchise. I don't know, but it is like they have at least 2.5 bars, because there's the bar, then there's the smoker, and then there's the rest of the bar, and upstairs is another bar, and it's just a beautiful line of every bourbon I've ever heard of and a bunch of other things I've never seen before. And you get a flight of it, and you just have your brisket and your whatever cornbread, and you sit down. And you're like, oh my God, this is just the happiest time I've been this year.
Oh man, I could recommend so many places. There are great places like that all over where I live.
Oh, it's. I mean, in your case, yes, for sure, because you're living there. I mean, that's a whole other story.
Like my whole thing is like, oh, I need to know everything in all the places.
Exactly.
Oh, so good.
Oh, I just realized this is Bullet Rye. This is not Bullet Bourbon. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought I said that.
Oh, I was like, that's...
yeah, that's why it was very hot.
Yeah.
This reminds me a little bit more of this one.
Good recognition.
Yeah.
That is the closest thing to it in this lineup.
Yeah,
because it tastes more. It's that kind of same like leather undertone. Like
nice.
Leather undertone, and then the sweeter element. Would you say that would be like a fruity sweetness or more of a floral sweetness?
Definitely floral for sure.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow, you're picking up floral on a lightly peated malt.
Yeah.
Well done, you. Subtlety and nuance.
Normally I'd only do that with gin.
Your two bywords.
Also minor.
Yeah, the juniper.
Also a minor, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You look like a child. Is what I'm saying.
Also a minor, yeah.
Buddy. Oh.
What was that?
That was Alex Jones. What the hell?
Child is what I'm saying.
Also a minor, yeah.
Scum! Destroy the child.
You're 12 years old.
This is really easy for an old man.
Yeah, it's possible.
That one's about as old as me.
Oh.
The 12. Yeah.
Distilled on your birthday.
This is going to be one of your smokier malts. So it's in the same category as the two you just compared.
There it is. Cal Isla. That is what... what's the bourbon? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. What were we just talking about? Ferry? Can't remember.
Woodford?
No. Jeez, no. Johnny Walker uses it. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
However, a lot more briny, salty.
All right, on the nose, how does it compare? You don't have to like these, by the way.
I'm not a huge fan of like the
malts.
this, and the smell of this one. I'm not a huge fan of.
Okay,
either.
so
Yeah. What are you smelling?
This reminds me of
comparatively?
Johnny Walker.
Hey, oh, no way! Did you know that whiskey is the dominant mix in Johnny Walker,
Oh,
adding the smoke?
There you go.
The smoke in Johnny Walker is almost always coming from that whiskey.
wow.
Yeah, that's where they get the barrels. So, yeah.
That's impressive.
And you're not a fan of
Not a huge fan of that.
malty scotches.
Good to know.
Ah.
Now that we know, we've narrowed down a preference he doesn't.
Let's be honest. Not too many people like the peaty smokiness of scotches. It's an acquired taste, and it's very specific. That's when you go to a bar. unless you want a specific cocktail, most people already know what they want when they walk in the bar. So they don't.
Definitely not drinking scotch neat.
Yeah, it's like if you ask for an Ardbeg or I don't know what's that that weird German, but it's in Scotland name with the Octosen.
I know what you're referring to. I just cannot think of it.
It's on the tip of my tongue. This is weird. It's gonna.
You get into Scotch names, it gets funky.
It's like Octosen or something like that. Yeah, I can't remember, but I had that once at the Smoke and Bones. I thought this is actually decent, and it's like this nice blend of malt whiskey. I think it's from Glasgow. But it was like a sweet. I was like, this is a sweet Scotch. Like, wow, that's interesting. Because usually I think of the floral notes from Irish whiskey. But yeah, it was one of those things where you can make...
Octomore?
No, it's like something Occasion or Octician. But it's definitely a Scotch. Oh, sorry, it's definitely a single malt Scotch.
Yeah, people guessing in chat.
Anyway, don't worry about it. That was a really great time I had, but can't remember it all.
Like,
Right. So this was the Macallan.
mm-hmm. You're getting that same leathery thing that you're describing as leather and earthy.
Not as bad. That one wasn't as bad as these last two.
That means the sherry cask is muting some of those malty, musty notes that the bourbon cask accents.
What most sherry casks are bringing to whiskeys are going to be kind of like your darker, heavier fruits.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be covering
Okay,
up.
if you guys don't know, sherry casks, how do we explain this? Okay, so you have one barrel, and that when you make, again, we said with bourbon, for example, you need the oak or the charred oak, I think. And then they go to another barrel. So it's either they call it double barreled, or they just call it whatever they want to call it. The sherry is obviously a barrel from sherry. So after the sherry is made and it's bottled, they sell the barrel to whomever, and they use that as their second barrel. So
Yeah, the very expensive bottle I got from my family member. It was actually partially aged in a sherry barrel for a time, just for the flavor profile. And ooh, it's glorious.
it's interesting because sherry is a whole other ballgame when you're talking about alcohol. It's usually a fortified wine, and
It's very interesting having a flavor profile of it being like earthy, but you also have like a very like full sweetness to it.
yeah, some sherries are dry, some sherries are sweet. It really depends on what the barrel they're using and how it's soaked into the wood. Like you don't know exactly what sherry unless they talk about it, because you could have a really floral Irish whiskey which doesn't need more notes, but you could hype it up like with Glenmorangie or not Lagavulin, that was Scotch. That was not Glenlivet. What's the other one? Oh, I can't remember. Lafargue. I think it's Lafargue. I think that's the Scotch one.
But yeah, it's the same way on the opposite end, where a lot of people like snag bourbon barrels to age their gin or their beers or whatever. I've had a lot of like bourbon barrel aged beer, which is intense to say the least.
Oh wait.
And
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I don't know how it went, but I've heard of this one place did a vodka aged in a bourbon barrel.
Huh, really?
well, now I gotta hunt that down.
That is, you know what? I've been really interested in getting the infused. I think it's a very famous brand of vodka, but they do.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Apothic Inferno that they had for a while. I thought you were going to say that for a minute.
What is that? Oh my god!
Apothic Inferno is a off-brand of Apothic Red, the wine company, and they have a red wine that's aged in a bourbon barrel. They call it Apothic Inferno, and it's okay. It's got like a depth of flavor to it, but it tastes like your standard run-of-the-mill $10 wine.
Oh, the ones that I was talking about, they're Smirnoff, and usually I don't like vodka. I don't like vodka in general, just because I prefer it as a cocktail or in a cocktail.
Of course,
but they
as it was
have.
meant to be.
Yeah, I think so. Unless you're hanging out with your Russian buddies and they want to go to a vodka bar, and that's totally cool. But But they have some. I think there's 2 or 3 flavors I was really interested in. One was like strawberries and other things like that. They look amazing. They really do look amazing. And I haven't gotten around to scoring them out because in LCBO in Toronto is a bit weird, where you have to like order directly from one LCBO. They won't deliver to another LCBO. You have to like deliver directly to your home, which is kind of silly because it costs them more and it costs me more to get it. They could just ship them to doing inventory one day. It's like, yeah, we'll just ship 1 case of this over there and everyone's going to buy it anyway. So who cares? So I haven't got around to it because of the lockdown, but
it's like, brother, can you just Uber me just a cask of this?
pretty much. I mean, that's all I want is like a few bottles of infused Smirnoff. And
Is that too much to ask?
Damn it, Canada. What's wrong with you?
Why can't everything be convenient?
Yeah, not that I want to be like a bartender, but just to have a few shots of that once in a while.
Oh no, it's nice to do like a at-home bar type deal, or even just like have a bottle or 2 here and there.
Yeah, there's one bar called the Bar Chef in Toronto, which is probably, I would say, the best cocktail bar we have in Toronto. Well, I don't know if it's still around, hopefully. But they only made 1 brand, and they sold at the LCBO, which is our Ontario's liquor board store to buy booze. And it was old fashioned, and it was the spiciest, sweetest old fashioned I ever had. My buddy and mine, we love going to bars. That's kind of like our go-to cocktail if we're not too fancy. We just want to try whatever they got, and no one else liked it except my buddy and mine. So it's like, this is great. It's amazing. Like, oh, it's too sweet. It's too spicy. Oh my god, doesn't taste like anything. Like, no, stop it. So. Yeah, bars like this. These are the guys like do all this crazy stuff with. They burn wood chips, cherry wood, and they infuse the glass. And they do the flare. They do all the crazy lights and colors and smokes. And
yeah, I've always just described that as like a flare.
Yes, but when you look at their walls, they got like the really nice tequilas up on the third deck, and they got this gigantic. Like a librarian stepping stool.
The librarian like rolling ladder.
Yeah, they have that, and it's like, oh my god, these guys are serious.
Yeah.
Like, holy.
That bourbon bar I was mentioning before, they have that too.
It's like, okay, they better not drop anything up there. It's really expensive.
The funny thing is, every year on their anniversary, they do. They have a big, like, you just come in, you just have whatever. They have a big cake. And they have like big pulled pork, and you make your own pulled pork sandwiches, and it's a nice time. Have a flight, have a pulled pork sandwich and some cake.
Damn, that is so American. Like, yeah, we got bourbon, pulled pork, got some
fucking piece of cake. Hell yeah,
cornbread. Jeez, how American can we get in America? I don't know.
Well, the thing is, that's in a subsection of a German district.
Oh, really? Is that a German inspired or influenced, or is it just?
Oh no! Like the street itself used to be a small German district inside of the tri-state area of Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio. It's all called Greater Cincinnati.
Oh, okay.
So there were actually subsections of it where it was just like different peoples were there. And each section was its own thing, so it's a specific street called Mainstrasse, so Main Street, obviously. So it's a Kentucky bourbon place on a German street serving pulled pork, bourbon, and cake on their anniversary.
Jeez.
Very fascinating combination.
Yeah, man. Whew. And the sad thing is, you can only go to those places to get the stuff you can't get anywhere else, I bet.
I could tell you plenty of stories about that type of thing, where it's just like food, booze, the whole nine. Just so much. Anyways, we were watching the video, weren't we?
Let's go.
The maltiness that you seem to not like in these other ones.
Yeah. Let's try Elijah Craig next.
Oh no.
So this is, we're going back into
mixed
bourbon,
feelings.
And this is going to be closer to, well, the Buffalo.
He's going to hate this, I bet. Watch.
Trace.
This one definitely smells sweeter than the last two, which I
yeah.
Like.
Do you like sweets?
Kaboom.
Not really.
Do you like salt?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. That one's probably the sweetest that I've had so far, actually.
Yes, absolutely. Did you like it the
Yeah,
best?
yeah.
Okay, hold that
Wow.
one here.
So it was a
This
bit
is
like
important.
this and Trace.
Oh,
Yeah, so you're a
absolutely.
bourbon guy.
Yeah.
So here's what I want to do. There's one remaining bourbon that I want you to try, and if you like it, then you've just found the perfect bourbon to explore with because it's cheap and it's good. It's considered
there you go.
quality.
Oh, that's the one I want to try.
Ah, Bubby. It's like I said, it's not bad. It's good bourbon for what it is. I've tasted better.
Well, you live in the motherland, so I would imagine, yeah, you know.
Oh, trust me, I've tasted like craft distilleries. I've tried like the mainstream. I've tried like one-off brands that people have made just to be creative and interesting. Rhymageddon. That's a small, like they make this bottle called Rhymageddon, which is like a very hard rye flavor of bourbon, and like there's all kinds of crazy shit when it comes to bourbon.
So do you have
It's just wild.
do you have like an overall, like not the most, like obviously the most expensive, but like what's like a like quality, price, flavor, like everything that you would say is like your favorite or right on the money?
I wouldn't like I'm one of those people. I have trouble picking a favorite because
Right.
it's I really just enjoy a multitude of ones for different reasons. But what I'd say is for what it's a decent bourbon, the prices you're going to be paying is around from like, depending on how well the bourbon is made, you're ranging from like $25 to $40.
Really? That's not bad. That's pretty good range.
No, it's not super bad. Like that's around the range of like Eagle Rare, Buffalo Trace, Maker's Mark, like the
Yeah,
classics. Well, Eagle Rare is a bit kind of like low key. Then there's like Rabbit Hole, like around like that $25 to $40 area. That's good for like, you just want a decent sipping whiskey. You don't want to like be trying to like knock it back, go all buck wild. Like that like $15 range is perfect. Like just for a general bourbon.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good to know. I'm trying to translate that to Canadian, so like 1.3 times $10. Okay, yeah.
Google, help me out.
No, I could do it. It's all right. Yeah, no. The thing is selection. The Four Roses, like that bottle specifically, the Four Roses he has in his hand. I can't see it in at the LCBO, but they have.
Oh, it was a general classic brand, and I can tell because it has the plastic cap. Because I know way too much about bourbon.
There's two other bottles. I'll show you photos from the page of Rose on LCBO. It's like that's not the same. Why is it different? So we don't get that, at least as far as I can tell. Maybe they changed the inventory the past week, but yeah. Anyway.
This reminds me a lot of the Elijah Craig. Quite a bit.
What do you
Yeah,
like?
that is
This
the
your
Four
Elijah
Roses
Craig. Go back to
classic.
Elijah Craig.
Yeah, a little AB.
Tell me the difference between those two.
Okay. Kind of maybe intruding some of the.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a little harder to contrast just because I feel like I'm getting mainly ethanol
Oh, okay.
out of this one.
That's an interesting
Alright.
point, especially whenever people are getting into just neat pours of spirits. It could be the most complex, nuanced thing in the world. If they're not used to a higher proof, that's
gonna
going
struggle.
to get overwhelmed by the alcohol note.
I always get slightly darker sweet notes in the Elijah Craig than I do in that Four Roses yellow label.
I mean, I feel like they're so similar. Like
Yes.
really, it's just the proof that's screw with my.
catchy.
palate.
I thought there'd be a
Yeah.
bottle of like
This one's more like
Basil Hayden or
citrus
something,
as well,
but
maybe.
maybe that's a bit too
Interesting.
That was
complex.
still
That's gonna
Yeah,
be
these are all people, or these are all bottles that for people that don't know anything.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm thinking too far ahead.
It's like, whoa, if you like Elijah, oh, you're gonna like that. Yeah, I know. It's like, oh, if you give a range of.
These are starter whiskeys.
Yeah,
It's like, all right.
I was hoping for a Lagavulin or a Lafargue. I think Lafargue is the one that really I'm like, wow, that was like, for a while that was my thing, and then my brother started getting into Scotch, and he was like going nuts with just all kinds of, like he was buying Canadian Club like 51 year, and I'm like, dude, that's just
Oh,
crazy rye.
oh, good God.
I still have it
Heard of that
downstairs.
one.
Yeah, it was so funny when they came out the 50 year and it didn't sell, and they called it the 51 year. That didn't sell as much. The 52 year, it's like, okay, this is getting silly. No
Hey,
one's
calm down.
Canadians like, yeah, we gotta sell this stuff. Like, lower the prices, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe you should start making better bourbon.
We
Whiskey.
don't make bourbon. We can't. It's illegal to make Well, you can, but you wouldn't call
You
it bourbon.
can. It's the same thing as like any state who makes bourbon that's not Kentucky.
Yeah.
Just for whatever reason, it just doesn't turn out right, and I've never been able to figure that out.
The water must come from the Mississippi. It's like, what? Why? No.
Actually, I think it's like lime filtered water or something, like
Oh, yeah.
limestone filtered. I don't know. I can't remember.
There's a specific rule to follow, whereas Canada's like, does it taste like Canadian Club? Yeah, it's rye. Yeah, you're good. Thanks.
It could be turpentine. Who knows? That's the fun of it.
Maybe.
Welcome to Canada. Yeah, if you want to brew beer, good luck. You want to brew rye, no problem.
It's gonna be
No,
a better
afterwards,
rye
I got a great story to talk about people who are just getting into like the distilling industry, because it's kind of like a little too close to like say it on air, but it's an interesting story.
Yeah. Also, if you noticed, a lot of the whiskeys from a certain region start with the word Glen. So Glenmorangie, Glenlivet, Glenfiddich. It's just very, very common. You're like, okay, we know the region, we know why. So other naming conventions like that you'll pick up on as you peruse the whiskey aisle or the spirit aisle at your liquor store.
That's the Four Roses.
It's there's more rye in that.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it could absolutely have a slight more spicy, zesty kind of note to it.
I think I like this one. The Four Roses.
Ah!
I like this one. Yeah.
That's good for you.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be able to explore that. Now, next steps, maybe not on this episode for you.
Right.
Start trying it with ice. Start trying it adding water, and start trying it mixing it into things.
Yeah.
I do have a little.
So about the ice, those big block or those big chunks of ice or whatever they use for whiskey. How do you guys feel about that?
Are you talking like specifically like how the Japanese use ice balls, or?
Basically.
I think that's fine. I find that to be a more interesting method as opposed to just using like whiskey rocks.
Yeah, I never liked the whiskey rocks.
I'm kind of like on a mixed ballpark on that, because now I've just like, I'm so used to drinking neat or with like the tiniest bit of dilution that just does not bother me that much anymore.
It really depends.
But with the I think there's like enough area around like the large chunks that it doesn't like what's the thing I'm looking for? It doesn't melt as fast, so it doesn't dilute it as much.
Right. Yeah, that's like my brother. That's why he prefers the simple Scotch glasses or square glasses from Japan, because he will get the mold. He actually bought. There's this weird looking mold. It only does four ice balls, and it's just right for his glass. And he'll use that specifically when he has his Japanese whiskeys, because
I'm gonna be honest with you, I got that mold.
I know. He's really like he's so
yeah, I
obsessed
got
with
that
it.
round ball, that whiskey ball mold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll love it, and he'll appreciate it, because as it dilutes, you get a different flavor profile. It's smoother, et cetera, et cetera. So I get that. The problem is once you have like a hibiki from Suntory, you don't want to.
Oh no.
Like you
no,
can,
you do not put ice in
but
that.
you shouldn't do that. So what ends up happening is if you go to a restaurant or a place that does that, they'll give you a pipette, and they'll give you like, I don't know, so you buy a really expensive like a cask strength something or other, and it's like, okay, this is really strong. You can dilute it to your preference. So that in that case you should anyway, because you're talking like 50-60% alcohol, and you're like, all right, that's you can't just drink it. So
all the good distillers that I've seen, what ends up happening is you go on their tours, and some of them are free. So I recommend anybody who ever goes to like thinks about going to a distillery, just see how much their tours cost. If it's free, like I used to go every weekend for about 5 months because it was amazing. But you go in and you have your stuff, and at the end of it, they always have the taste test, and every time you go to like a bourbon one, they will give you the thing you're tasting, and then they'll have a glass of water with a
pipette.
For lack of a better term, a baster or whatever you wish to call that.
It's a pipette, yeah.
Yeah, a pipette. And they always tell you taste it without it first, and then after that put like a single drop in it and see the change of flavor. And that's really like diluting it so it can expand or like bloom as it's normally called.
That's
And
what this is. My brother did at that whiskey place I was talking about. That it was an Ardbeg. It was like I think it was a 15-year. Like this was an expensive thing to buy at a restaurant, of course. And yeah, they gave you the actual water that they would use, and they ship it in, whatever. And they're explaining you only need a few drops. And it changed because of Ardbeg's profile is so strong that anytime you would add something to it, it would just dramatically change the experience. So, and he showed me a picture of that. I was like, why would you buy that? I've never had it. It's like, yes, you have. I only bought the 10 years. Like, that's different. No, it's totally different. Like, okay, fine. So all these arguments about why he did all these experiences and spending all his money. It's like, well, yeah, you're spending for 15 years of an experience that you can't get anywhere else. And because it's that style of drink, as opposed to like a chartreuse or what's that other green crazy, or not necessarily green, but absinthe. Like that is an intensely powerful drink.
Like I know a guy, he drinks straight absinthe all the time.
Really?
The higher the proof, the better. And I don't understand it.
That doesn't, yeah. Wow.
Because don't get me wrong, licorice is nice, but have you ever tried not licorice that makes you feel like that's the entirety of what you taste for the day?
Oh dear. I know the dilution of absinthe involves spring water and sugar.
It's this whole ceremony if you want to do it that way. I know some people you just drink it neat, but the whole process is you put some in a glass. It's like, I think it's like an ounce's worth. Then you put like the sugar on a spoon on top of it. Then you pour the water over it, and the water dissolves the sugar cube, and then dilutes it in the glass itself. But there are other cocktails that actually just use straight up absinthe and a multitude of other things in it. It's just one of those things where you have to counterbalance the intensity of it.
Exactly. So that's what I was trying to explain, is that we only add ice and water directly when the alcohol level or the flavor, like Ardbeg, is so strong. You have to do that. So naturally, we wouldn't do that. If you're having like an old fashioned, it's okay. You're not there to drive yourself crazy with sweetness or spiciness. So it's like, yeah, you put a nice cube in there, that's fine. But some of the Japanese blended whiskeys, you can do that as well. So anyway, you want to keep going here? We got 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
Sample of something, Rex, that I snuck in.
Oh, do you know?
It's not on the list.
Yes.
However,
You get so excited.
it's to determine. No. It's to determine how redneck your roots are.
Oh.
Okay. So this is a moonshine that.
Okay, I feel personally called out because I'm originally from West Virginia.
Okay. I mean,
How dare you be completely accurate with your definition of moonshine?
Made
Okay.
using a saison beer.
oh my God.
Ooh.
There's that empty glass on the end.
Woo!
Okay.
If you guys don't know saison or session, it's not for everyone. It's kind of murky. There's session beer. There's session wine. It's a distinct process of making.
It's funky.
It is. How do I describe it? It's kind of like
God, there's not really a good way, honestly.
funky is probably one of the better words. Yeah. It's
one of those things you just have to experience.
Yeah, and every time, like Christmas time comes around, we have this distillery called Mill Street in Toronto, pretty popular craft brewery, and they'll come up with a Christmas saison, and you're like, oh, that sounds fancy, I'll try it, and it is the weirdest like cross between a champagne and this murky, funky beer, and you're like, ah.
Honestly, that sounds horrible.
It's unique. It really
unique,
is.
yeah.
You really have to just like try it at least once to experience it. Then you kind of know if it's for you or not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Probably not though. In most cases, unless you're really big into beer, like you really love beer, you can appreciate a saison. But there are weak saison which are fantastic. So.
Yeah.
Like grapes. That's what it smells like.
Interesting. Now I kind of want to smell that thing.
I got like
Give me that.
skunky herbs.
Skunky. There you go. That's a good
Hands
word.
were really
Skunk.
close to my face just then.
Pungent.
Good smell.
Compose yourself, dude. That was a slight caress. Yeah, nice work.
Internal
Yeah,
monologue.
imagine if beer was left out in the sun for like a few minutes, and then brought back. Yeah, that's kind of what it's like.
For Daniel.
Yikes.
I feel like this burns less than
Really?
They all
Daniel
age Craig.
Craig and
And the
or
Four
Elijah
Roses.
Craig. All right, just a Daniel Craig.
He is delicious.
It happens, buddy.
I mean, I actually like
That
this.
was your coffee.
I like this more than.
Wow, he likes Saison distilled more than Scotch.
That's
okay, We're gonna go back to
That is okay. This must be some really interesting drink that he got there because I've never heard of that before.
Like, I don't mind a saison. I can drink anything under the sun. It's just, it's very interesting for somebody who's going into this as a, for lack of a better term, newbie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just very strange to hear a newbie say, like, yeah, I like the saison better than this. It's like, really?
Yeah. If I were to give him like an India Pale Ale, he doesn't know what beer is. That would probably freak him out. But
Oh, dude, that'd hit like a Mack truck.
yeah, but this is like, oh, this is good. Like, really? Okay, I guess. Maybe.
Chris, you just
Wait.
went to the upper tier of beers right there,
Yeah, I
bud.
know. Like maybe he's tried so much whiskey, he's just inundated with flavor. And this saison comes by, it's like meh. This
Well,
is,
how many was that? About 10 different tastings?
yeah, that's at least 10.
That's-
Yeah,
Oh, that's a pretty rough menu there.
that's at least
Yeah, I
10.
wonder how his palate is.
So that's what, half an ounce each, maybe.
Oh,
So 5 ounces of whiskey.
and that's all like high whiskey. Ooh.
Yeah, this is not bad stuff. This is pretty good stuff. It's not too expensive. It's not too cheap. It's just
Oh no, what I'm thinking is more of it's probably gotten to his head a little.
yeah. But yeah, we haven't even talked about like the bitterness units in beer and why.
Oh, the IPUs and shit.
Yeah, like that would like any kind of porters or any kind of stouts. Like I would kill this guy.
Well, yeah, but also with this this tasting, he's going from one to another relatively quickly, and there's his palate drift, that
Yeah. Even with a
Palate
cleanser,
experience.
that could also affect your ability to try it. That's why flights are normally only about 3 or 4.
Yeah, 4 is the max. Well, for me at least. I don't know. I've seen 5, but that's like beer. But
Yeah, no, if it's beer, 5's fine. But if we're talking like whiskey, I'd specifically say 4 tops.
yeah, for sure. No. And plus, when you have it, it's before or during a meal. It's not just whiskey. You have stuff with it. So he better be chasing something because he's gonna be sloshed by the end of this.
Yeah, this is with a steak meal or something.
Exactly. There you go.
the direction and decide whether or not you can stay on with our company or not.
Skunky, man.
Did you just call me a pussy?
So
Bringing in an 117 proof.
I think
Let's make it
Whoa.
a full ounce
Oh,
and a half
hell's
or,
bells.
Like
No.
get at a bar.
There
If
you
you said
go.
pour me a whiskey neat.
cash strength. What do we got?
Oh no! No!
What are you
No!
What?
Oh, no.
Wait! No, what the hell was that, man?
Come on!
Sorry, my brain's processing that.
This guy's gonna either throw up or just collapse in about 2 minutes.
Sorry, I got overcome with emotion right there.
Yeah, guys, this is what you don't do. Okay, when it comes to hard liquor or whiskey, do not shoot it. Not only,
God, my blood pressure spiked for a second.
yeah, not
Oh.
only is that bad for you, it's first of all, it's a waste of whiskey. Secondly, your liver is going to go. Excuse me.
Calling back to the guy who told me if I ever did that again, he'd never sell me a bottle of whiskey ever again.
Yeah.
But the reason why is because a lot of people put a lot of hard work, a lot of effort, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into making this stuff. And it seems dumb, but it's true. So much effort gets put into what you drink, it's astounding when you actually break it down.
And that's not just waiting for the distillation process or the fermentation whatever they're doing with their booze. There's all kinds
Yeah,
of
it's just like like scientifically breaking it down, like the different types of yeast they use, how long to age it, even just like the barrel specifically. If they have a bad barrel, they'll send it back. There's so many aspects
They gotta
that can.
open the barrels and taste them every few years. They gotta make sure of all the moisture level of the room it's in. With wine, you have to shift the bottles every 6 months with the sediments to shift. There's all sorts of processes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like people don't realize that booze you get. This is a labor of love for these people. They would not be doing this if they really didn't love doing what they did.
Yeah, when they say a 10-year bottle, it's more than 10 years to get there from A to B. So you got to respect
it's just,
monkey shoulder, right? Monkey shoulder gets its name from a condition that they would get during the distilling process, handling all of the barrels all the time, and where their arm would eventually hang much lower, kind of like a monkey's, because of how much labor they put into making that alcohol, you know?
Like, a lot of these names that people put onto their bourbons is actually very personal from the people I've talked to. So yeah, it's like, these are like, you don't want to down a shot like that, because that just completely spits in the face of everybody who made that bottle.
You can do.
So I don't mean to get I don't mean to get upset.
Yeah.
After talking to the people and how passionate they get, it's really upsetting. That's why I kind of.
If it's a shot glass and if you're saluting someone, then fine. Like, that's the point. But not here in this one. Not in general. Like, just, hey, I'm gonna shoot down. What was that? 2.5 ounces? I couldn't tell.
Oh, that looked like 3 to me.
Yeah. Like, okay, that's you have to savor these drinks, guys. It takes a good 10 minutes minimum. Okay? Take your time. Scotch is one of the, or whiskey in general is one of the most luxurious flavors and complex things you could put in your mouth, aside from cheese and other drinks. So, you really have to take your time.
I'm good. Good.
All right.
Grass is green, sky's blue. I'm okay.
Let's see if this guy survives the next 2 minutes, or next 20 seconds, rather.
Oh, Christ.
That's pretty good.
Maybe I am.
Okay, go ahead and start editing. We'll make it more fun.
Alrighty. Okay. I like these guys. They're fun. So, I mean, whiskey's not for everyone. As I said before, it's an acquired taste. No one's should be forcing you to try it. If you're curious, make sure it's a social thing, that you're with people, and if you've never had it before, don't go crazy with money. Try something simple. Try not to buy the cheapest stuff out there. Ask someone what's good. Get their recommendation. He'll say, what do you like? What flavors are you interested in? What are you curious about? And that's usually how you go from there. Same with the bartender.
Also deciding like what type of whiskey you want can be a big distributing factor of that. Where it can be like Irish whiskey, Scotch, bourbon that I keep rattling on about because it's the best. Canadian if you want to die of liver cirrhosis. But they all have their own different tastes and their own different unique traits. So study it a bit.
Yeah, again, Scotch is the most complex or the widest range of flavors. Rye is the most limited or the simplest. So everything in between is a range. So the Irish is more floral and lighter. That's just my personal preferences. Bourbon is sweeter and smokier and like molasses sometimes like vanilla. There's all sorts of wonderful notes in bourbon. I would say it's more about intensity with bourbon than it is with range, because there's just like you can get a bourbon that tastes like a tequila sometimes because it's so sweet and so sharp. So it really depends on what your preferences are, and just have a good time. That's the best part.
And stick with it. You know, if you don't like something right at first, go on to another one. And what is it? It's an acquired taste, but it's worth acquiring,
Yeah, it's not a forced thing. It's not like if you're with your buddies, like you want to drink with them, that's totally fine. But don't be scared. Have a good time. Don't overdo it like anything, of course. Any kind of booze, you should know that by now if you're an adult. But yeah, get out there, go for a tour, travel when the planes are flying still, when we're allowed to dock at a port for a cruise or whatever the heck is going on with the tourist industry this lifetime of ours. Hopefully we can get around that in the next few years and experience the world again and try distillers, try wineries, try all the wonders of culture has to offer. That starts with food and drink. So, yeah, good stuff. We'll probably have another one of these in another week or two because this is so much fun to talk about. We can go on and on.
Oh, yeah. Trust me, I'm completely happy to because I have a vast range of knowledge about alcohol.
That's awesome. Okay.
This is my wheelhouse.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, let's do a beer night sometime.
Beer would be really fun. Canada, I'm pretty limited to Quebec and Ontario, some BC, but across the border, like just even Philadelphia, is like the beer culture is gigantic. So yeah, I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm in Portland, and we have a really great beer scene.
Oh, you're in Portland? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no.
Well, I'd say Portland has a better beer scene than Kentucky. I would say.
Oh no! What? No. The beer scene here is outrageous. Like
Really?
I have like a ridiculous amount of breweries to pick from.
Really?
Trust me, I'm happy to talk all about it, but it's kind of like really close to where I live, so rather not do that on air.
Not a problem.
So I mean, I think I know, but my girlfriend's asking why you said you're sorry about Portland.
Oh, I'm kidding.
Well,
That's literally
No,
just
you're
me
not.
being like, oh, you live in the place where there's like a lot of progressivism and stuff like that. Oh man.
well, no.
Everybody here is from New York and California anymore.
I know it's horrible.
well,
I was born and raised here. I'm not going to let that ruin it for me.
That's fine if you live there. Congratulations. I'm glad to know that the native people are still trying to thrive there. That's all I'm looking for.
Yeah, right on. Yeah.
I think there was some sort of saying about if you die in some place, you go to heaven, but if you drink bourbon, you go to Tennessee. Something like that. Some sort of silly quote. I can't
You mean
remember.
Kentucky?
Is it always? It's always Kentucky.
Yeah, she's got some
Why-
whiskey
why-
in her. She-
Yeah, the bourbon area is Kentucky, not Tennessee.
I don't know. I'm trying to remember the quote, not specifically where it's from. Okay.
I just find it funny that you confuse Kentucky with Tennessee.
I'm a Canadian. What can you do? I'm not very good with geography.
Well, what can you say? I'm not a geographer.
A geographer? What's that? Anyway, that was fun. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I think it was fun. We're going to do a beer night probably next time. That I have in large quantities in the cellar, so I did not actually have a drink this entire time. So, yeah.
That makes one of us.
That's too bad. I know. I was missing. Like, why didn't I do that? I just thought, yeah, probably should have. So, anyway, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys real soon. And good night. Later.
Have a wonderful evening.